Of all the things that they could have tried to figure out or fix, these are the two that they're like, you know what? We're going to fix football by making our kickoff better and eliminating tackling in the open field. Not, wow, people are very upset about NFL officiating. People are convinced that the NFL is rigged because of gambling and because of all these other things. Why don't we figure out if there's a way to help both the officials and fairness of a game? That could make sense. No, let's add more gray area and ambiguity to the officials.
Woo!
Nailed it.
Back at it. Hear you very well. You sound well.
You sound well.
Nice. You're not sick anymore, yeah? No?
Not sick right now. Guess what I've been doing? This is the opposite of amateur hour. I have been doing an apple a day to keep the doctor away.
Really?
Actually, I have been.
Apple cider vinegar?
I've just been doing a straight Granny Smith apple.
Oh, okay. Granny Smith.
Granny Smith.
Green machine. Let's go.
Green machine. So I've been doing that, having a vitamin, trying to get outside every day.
Nice.
Have a balanced diet, the veggies, the fruits, the protein. I'm trying my best here, drinking a lot of water.
Yeah. You sound good. You look good.
Stop
That's all I can ask
got the
for.
chain on, you know.
Oh, yeah. Dude,
You got
that's
the new
fresh.
shirt you just got right beside you?
Yeah.
I wish I had this on right here.
Let's check it.
If you're watching on Spotify, look at this. If you're on YouTube.
Baby.
Sponsored by Zara.
We're rocking these in Europe. Chains. Maybe you even mentioned the wife beater on under.
Yeah, you got to have the tank with that unbuttoned on top.
Yeah, we don't love the name wife beater, but
No.
tank.
Yeah,
White
it's
tank.
For people who knew of the ribbed tank earlier and had it by a different name, that's what it was called.
What? How did that start?
I don't know.
That name.
Every single time that I say it, I wonder that. And I kind of don't really want to look it up because I just don't really want to know.
Right. Yeah. I don't think I want to know either. I have an idea, but
Yeah, same. We'll leave it there.
we'll leave that one.
Well, do you have any amateur moments?
Yeah, man. And it really wasn't that stupid, but it sucked. So last night, my landlord gave me like a call at like 8 p.m. to come swing by the townhome real quick. I was like, yeah, I'm eating dinner, but come on by, whatever. And so he was showing a realtor the spot because they're trying to get other people to move in because I'm moving soon. And anyway, they're messing with like this little lockbox that was on the door. And I was like, oh, let me come help you. So I'm eating dinner while I'm doing this. And I just put my food like right by the couch. And I turn around, my man Copper was munching. And I think I've talked about this on here before. Copper has a sensitive tummy. And so a few months ago, we dealt with some explosive diarrhea, and I deducted that he might possibly have a beef allergy. And I was eating ground beef. And I didn't think about it at the time. I was like, you know what? You already started eating my food. You're having this instead of your dog food today. Like, whatever. So today I get home. There's puke on the floor. And when I take him outside, man's got the runs. So
Not only did he eat your food, but then he regurgitated your food everywhere.
Yep.
Yikes.
Thanks a lot, Cop. So I had to clean up multiple times.
Cop dog.
And that's kind of more of an amateur move on him. Like, he should know by now that upsets his tummy.
Yeah, like, come on, Cop. That's on you. I know you don't want to be throwing up and Putin
dog.
dog.
Yeah, that was frustrating to say the least. Basically my whole dinner.
In college, Lily, best dog ever that lived with us in college. I had made like a breakfast sandwich and had it on the coffee table, and she got it because I didn't grow up with an inside dog, and so I never thought about that. And then boom,
Right.
and that was tough enough, and I didn't have to clean up anything afterwards. So I feel
dude,
for you there.
The cleanup's the worst. And Cop's been pretty good lately, so I didn't really even think twice about it. And then it was because it was in front of other people. He was just showing out,
Yeah, he's like, oh, I don't have an allergy. I can eat beef.
I'm good.
Papa Allen is just being ridiculous about it. It's fine.
Goofy freaking dog, man.
Goofy.
What about you? Do you have any for the week?
Most part, I've been good, except for this is amateur. Every single March Madness selection that I made.
No, I don't say yeah, I guess amateur might be the word. It was just uneducated.
After Well, passionate is what you should have led with, because
Yeah.
I have, of course, had South Carolina winning it all, which obviously, I say obviously, I was 99.9% sure that wasn't going to happen. But on the 0.1% chance, can I let South Carolina win it all and not pick them? No.
And last time they were in the tournament, I picked them to lose first round, I think, and they went to the Final Four. So,
Granted, I would rather pick them to lose and have them go to the Final Four. So maybe next time I should think strategically and pick them for a first round exit. But
maybe that is what we need to do.
that was rough. That was rough.
Woof.
That was
Big
rough.
woof.
And then watching a former player put up 40, not seeing a big man at all. So that was tough. After the first round, I think I had like 960 possible points remaining.
I haven't even looked at mine, man. That's a lie. I looked at it one time and I didn't even dive deep into it.
I just
It was
rode
like,
with SEC schools, and SEC schools did not ride with me.
I did too, because that's pretty much what I watched this year.
Yeah.
For the most part. And SEC's looking rough, man.
We'll talk about March Madness more and hit some stats on how the SEC's doing. But that was, honestly, that was more on them. I'm deflecting. That was them being amateurish.
Yeah, it wasn't really on us.
I was just trying to believe.
Speaking of that,
Sue me.
the what we call that game we did, the money game with the picks.
Yeah, I guess. I couldn't think of anything good.
Do you have any teams left?
Creighton.
Nice.
But
I think
basically, no.
Chris has Iowa State and maybe somebody else.
Yeah, I won one game with my picks. And it was the one that I felt least confident about. Actually, no, College Charleston I felt least confident about. But
Right.
yeah,
It's all good.
I need to calculate that soon. But we'll wait. UConn's probably going to win it all.
I'm in the lead right now, I think.
And you're feeling confident with your UConn pick.
Yeah, UConn was a huge pick. Even though somebody flamed me on TikTok I picked him second overall. And he said, Allen has the worst possible picks ever. How do you leave UConn on there? And
Sorry you didn't trade us and pick him number one overall.
yeah, dude, like what do you want me to do? I don't know if he didn't understand. I wish we had his username right here. I would
just add him right
shout
here.
him out and ask him, because I don't get it, bro. But
That's
yeah, anyway, them and NC State still got those two rolling.
the other amateur thing along this, I guess, that was doing is for our bracket challenge. Shout out anyone who signed up. We had like just under 160 people, which is pretty fun. But last year, emails were with all the usernames, and so it was easy. It's just like email them the gift card afterwards. This year, all of that's like blocked. I can't figure out to save my life where the emails are. So I'm gonna have to like put up a screenshot and get someone to message me to be able to send them the gift card afterwards. So again, not really my fault, but I should have done my homework, so it is my fault. Hand up, accountability.
We'll have to look at that. I'm the tech wizard, so I'll help you out.
Yeah, you can teach me a thing or two, maybe.
I'm terrible at tech.
I've seen worse, just not under the age of 40,
Probably 50.
probably 55. They might be on Medicare.
Yeah, it's okay. Let's do Florida Man.
Ooh, let's do it. Let's do Florida Man.
Florida Man's a good one. So today I have a little bit different format for Florida Man.
Dude,
so
I'm excited about that.
previously it's been just one true and one false. Today it's kind of like a multiple choice question. So there's a common theme.
C.
Is the false one?
Answer's always C, but go on.
We'll check. Anyway, so we're picking which one's false. So 3 of these are true, which is wild. So
I'm so excited.
3 of them are true, one of them's false. You got to figure out the false. So the general question: Florida man arrested after repeatedly calling 911 to A, to demand Kool-Aid, hamburgers, and weed to be delivered to him. B, after an alligator at Lake Lochloosa looked at him menacingly. C, over missing beer, stating that his wife kept stealing his beer and throwing it away. Or D, after his cat was denied entry into a strip club. Which one is false?
Ooh. Hit the list one more time for me.
All right. A, to demand Kool-Aid, hamburgers, and weed be delivered to him. B, after an alligator at Lake Lochloosa looked at him menacingly. C is he was missing beer, so he called the cops repeatedly because his wife threw his beer away. And D, after his cat was denied entry into a strip club.
I mean, one, it's wild that 3 of these are true. And on the other hand, I could see all 4 of them being true.
Right.
At first, to me, I'm like, I loved it. But then I was like, why is he calling 911 to order one of those things? The other ones are complaints. But then I'm like, it's a Florida man, so that's probably true because it's Kool-Aid, pizza, or hamburgers and weed. 2, the one that makes the most sense is the wife calling, or the wife throwing away the beer. So I think, and I said C's at the beginning, so I'm going to stick with it. C is the false one.
No, that one's true.
Oh, it's true.
I butchered that one.
That was part of why I thought it.
Yeah, right. And I didn't do that on purpose, actually. But he kept calling 911 because his beer was missing. He said, my wife is stealing my beer and throwing it away.
I'm like, that one actually wait, hold on. Yeah, so that one is real, though.
That one's real.
In my mind, I was like, this one is so real that I feel like it's fake.
It's too lame.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay,
So
hold on. Let me see if I can guess the false one
Okay.
now. I'm probably going to go all 3 before I guess it. Oh, okay. So story 2 was, or 4 was the cat in the strip club, and 2 was, which one's 2 again?
The alligator.
Let's go. The fake one is
at
the menacing alligator.
That's the fake one. The menacing alligator. So the other 2 true ones are, he called 911 repeatedly about his cat getting denied entry to a strip club. And I think it was Miami. Like repeatedly called, not just once. And then
Get off this line.
Yeah, bro. Sorry, your cat's not invited. No gato. And then
No gato, por favor.
no, por favor. With the Kool-Aid hamburgers and weed, it said he called 911 80 times.
Yeah, like that one to me, I was like, that is so specific and so ridiculous. It has to be a real Florida man story.
I had to lead it off with that one because it sounds fake.
Yeah.
Super fake. But I feel like it's so fake that it's got to be true.
That you picked a good
with.
mix of them too, because again, like option C, one, I had to stick with my gut. C is always the answer. Wasn't this time.
Right.
But C was like a league below the rest in craziness. So it was a good job mixing that in, because there's like one thing's not like the other, C's not like the other, and you're like, haha, I'm playing games with you.
Right.
It was nice. Well done.
It's kind of what I was thinking.
Oh, that's fun. I like this model more though.
Yeah. We'll have to do it next time too.
See if we can find, because I love that.
It's hard. You can only do it for certain things though, because they all have to. Well, I mean, I guess you don't have to.
You can all just do an arrest. Like
you could just do like short headlines, like A, B, C, D. Which one's not real, or
right?
Which one is real? I don't know.
Or like I was saying, like almost every story was Florida man was arrested for X. So like, when in doubt, use that.
That would work.
Oh well, Iceman unfortunately isn't making an appearance today, but he is through Allen. So why don't you let us know what story our unsung hero, Horace Walpole, sent you?
Time to channel my inner Iceman. Let's go. So this week's unsung hero, Yale made it to the NCAA basketball tournament and got placed in Spokane, Washington for the first round of the tournament. Unfortunately, Yale was on spring break. I didn't even know Yale students got a spring break.
I thought it was school year round.
Right. Their band already had plans, so their band wasn't able to make it. So Yale's band director calls up University of Idaho's band director, Spencer Martin, and says, hey, you guys are kind of close. Would you want to play for our Yale basketball team in the first round of the tournament? And Spencer Martin says, sure, we can do that. So Idaho's band spends all week learning Yale's fight song, all the songs they would play. They go to the game. They cheer Yale on to beat the Auburn Tigers in a matchup that screwed all of our brackets. So, unsung hero of the week goes out to you, Spencer Martin. Thanks for ruining our brackets.
It's kind of cool. They just like decked out in Yale stuff. Apparently, the Yale team was warming up without a band, and then all of a sudden they started having a band around them. Like, wait, what's going on?
Oh, they didn't know?
Yeah, I don't think so. At least one thing I saw that they were like warming up and didn't have a band. They just had their cheer team that flew with them, and they thought that was it. And then boom, band. Magic.
Hey, that's pretty sweet. If you had a chance to wear like Ivy League stuff for...
You didn't know this? I was in the Yale band, So you went to Yale?
I
Yes.
actually went to Yale for a week.
Did.
Shout out to them. Also wild that Yale beat Auburn. You had Auburn going pretty far, right? I think we all talked about Auburn going
Yeah,
pretty
you
far.
remember her, how I was saying, like, pretty much any SEC school I rode with?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, that happened.
Right. Not going to be natty champs this year.
I was like, oh, Kentucky, I don't think they're going to go all the way. They'll only be like, what, Final Four or something like that.
Right. Not too far.
Oh, 2-minute drill. Let's hit it.
Despite South Carolina men's team's unfortunate first-round exit, the women are taking care of business and putting on a show as they beat North Carolina 88-41.
Looking good doing that.
Go Cox.
Go Cox. The NFL owners voted to ban the infamous hip drop tackle, as well as voted to enact a new kickoff rule. So there's going to be more on both of those to come later, but those rules are changing.
In international soccer, the U.S. men's national team trailed Jamaica 1-0 in Thursday's Nations League semifinal before netting a miraculous equalizer in the 95th minute en route to a 3-1 win in extra time.
The Dodgers and Padres faced off in what was called the Seoul Series in Seoul, South Korea. So these two games are going to count towards the regular season. Ended up getting split with game 1 going to the Dodgers 5-2 and game 2 going to the Padres 15-11. One thing's worth noting though, in game 1, the Dodgers $325 million man Yamamoto gave up 5 runs and only lasted 1 inning. So it's not ideal.
In football, one of the corners on my current NFL dream team, L'Jarius Sneed, has been traded from the Chiefs to the Titans. Tennessee plans to sign him with a new contract that will make him one of the highest paid corners in NFL history. So they obviously
see the potential. Yeah, you.
Right.
Good GM right there. This past Wednesday, KD passed Shaq for 8th on the NBA's all-time scoring list at 28,598 points. Next up is Wilt at 31,419. So it might be a minute till it gets there, but movement.
We talked recently about how Aaron Rodgers might be in the Oval Office instead of on the gridiron, but Jets fans can sleep soundly knowing that they'll still have a quarterback this season unless he gets hurt again. But the Jets have been making some moves, and so has Robert F. Kennedy Jr., as he elected to go a different route for his running mate. So Aaron Rodgers will be playing football again.
Man, we all thought he was going to be in the Oval Office.
Darn, now he's going to be throwing an oblong leather ball.
Crazy. Because obviously we knew that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. was going to win and just assumed that he was going to pick Aaron with him. So,
right. Did he say who he's running with?
I think it's an attorney from California or
classic.
Something like that. Yeah. I don't know. But
dang, would have been a good story.
Would have been a good story. Tough showing for the first game for Yamamoto.
Yeah, man, that's not great.
No, that is.
I love it.
Quick math.
I love it.
What?
Dodgers in some turmoil right now. Ohtani's translator.
Yeah, let's go there first. First topic up for us is Ohtani, the hot water. For anyone who is just kind of catching up on this or hearing about it for the first time, Ohtani's longtime interpreter and friend was fired by the Dodgers on Wednesday after he reportedly stole millions of dollars from Ohtani to cover his gambling debts with an illegal bookmaker. What's interesting about it is at first it came out and they said that it was a loan to help him, and then the next day they came out and said that it was stolen. That was all last week, and then Ohtani actually just came out. There was a lengthy statement that I didn't read, but it said that Ohtani denied ever betting on sports and said his ex-translator stole from him and lied. And he's very saddened and shocked that someone who he had trusted had done this.
Thoughts? How did his translator steal money? Did he just have access to his bank accounts, we think?
Here's my working theory.
I'm ready.
Ready for it?
I got one too.
I think that it was a loan. That's why they came out at first. I think that he found out he was in a little trouble and he's like, yeah, I got you. I'll loan you a little bit of money. Then realized that that could implicate him as well in a gambling little scandal. And so at that point, it was kind of like a, hey, I've got to cut. Because I didn't know, and there's probably like some truth of like, I didn't know what it was going towards. I didn't do this. And I was trying to help you, but there's a little bit of deception there probably. That's my thought.
Yep. That's my thought too. First, it's a loan to help a guy out. Next thing you know, it's a new Pete Rose. And he didn't want that to happen. So I think so too. It's fishy that it's like he stole this money because how's he going to steal? I don't know. They just didn't go into how he stole it unless he has access to all his accounts and stuff. But it's just his translator. It's not like his personal accountant or anything.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that would make sense.
If it was somebody that was like handling his funds, but why would his translator be handling his funds? He can speak money. It's not like it's numbers. So I don't know. It sounds a little fishy.
Because the other piece of it too is,
I mean, the other thought is, was he gambling on Ohtani's behalf? Because we also can't necessarily rule that out. Ohtani seems like a good guy, but plenty of good guys get caught up in gambling schemes at the end of, or at the pro level, I think. Seems like.
Yeah, I mean,
that seems less likely, but I don't think it's impossible.
I wouldn't rule that out either. I personally don't think that's the case, but again, I don't know him at all. So
we like Ohtani.
I like
Seems
Ohtani.
like a good dude.
I like him. The interesting piece too is his translator right now in all this. It seems like he's kind of taken the fall for it in some ways. Like he's not coming out, or nothing that I've seen, he's coming out speaking against Ohtani or saying that things are mixed up, which, I mean, maybe there's hush money and he was betting for him, but it makes it more likely to me that I think that Ohtani was probably trying to help him cover a debt and didn't realize the extent of everything and was getting wrapped up. And the other guy was like willing to take a fall because he's like, I did kind of mess this up. You were helping me here. That kind of, I don't know. That's my thought, at least.
That makes sense.
Also,
crazy scenario.
It's like $4.5 million. And how do you rack up a $4.5 million debt gambling? Like, I get it if you're have that kind of ammo to be wagering. Could I go to a casino and get $4 million in debt? I don't think they can lend.
You could do it with like illegal bookies, though. That's
Okay.
the thing. Like the kind of guys that come and beat your knees in with a baseball bat.
Dang,
That's what I'm thinking.
I need to educate myself on that crowd. You know?
Yeah, they got to be like high class, like mob boys though. If they're doing $4 million.
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, probably not a baseball bat. Probably more like a more high tech weaponry there.
But then back to your point earlier, I feel like it had to have been some kind of loan because, again, he's a translator. He's not the accountant. He doesn't have.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
Presumably, he doesn't actually have the access to the funds.
Right.
So
I wonder how much the MLB will like look into that.
I think it's going to be a good amount, and I think it's also going to be. Did I see somewhere it's like a federal investigation too? Because people were worrying. They're like, if it's an MLB investigation right now, Ohtani's the golden boy. Are they going to try to sweep it under the rug? Because obviously the other complication is the legalized gambling coming into sports. I think like DraftKings is a sponsor or with MLB. Like, how are all these things interacting? They don't want another Pete Rose scandal.
Yeah, I agree.
So anyway, people were basically saying that they're worried that if the MLB investigates, even if there was evidence to find him guilty, they would sweep it under the rug.
Oh yeah.
And even if you believe that, there's also supposed to be a secondary federal investigation. So I guess more will come out, but I like the working theory.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
It's a good one. Yeah, the same one.
Should we talk about the NFL owners continuing to ruin the NFL, or should we talk about March Madness? What do you want?
I think we talk about, let's talk about the NFL owners just butchering things and then end with March Madness, maybe a little higher note.
I like that.
Yeah. What are they doing? I'll start. What's going on?
Okay, first of all, the hip drop tackle. Can we go there first?
Oh yeah, we can drop right down there.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Here are my quick hitting thoughts on this. The NFLPA.
Don't hit too quick.
Don't hit too quick. Yeah, exactly. Because I might tackle, and that's going to be illegal soon.
Right.
But the NFLPA, obviously all about player safety, was majorly against this. So stop trying to one of the things that drives me insane is when you try to disguise what you're doing and be like, oh, it's for player safety, it's for this. It's for the business of the NFL and you making more money as an owner. And if that's your decision, it's fine. You own the league. Do it. But at least say that's what you're doing. You're not saying it's safety. Because now you've got corners who are 50, 60, 70 pounds lighter trying to tackle in the open field. And for no one who's tackled anybody in the open field, that's hard enough alone. And then you're trying to tackle someone who's bigger, well, maybe not faster, but bigger, stronger than you. And you got to tackle him by driving him down. You can't just hold on for dear life. Look, now that person's going to get run over. How are they supposed to tackle?
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, I don't know how you tackle anybody in pursuit, because if you're tackling anybody from the side or behind or anything, like, you could probably call this penalty.
I guess you can just dive and catch the legs for now until they call that illegal.
I mean, but you have to catch the legs below the hip.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's like so subjective.
And that
like
is,
you catch somebody's thigh and you can get called a hip drop. You catch somebody too high and it's a horse collar. So are you supposed to just like swipe their feet?
And that brings me to my next point. This year has already been rock bottom for NFL officiating. So here's how we're going to respond. We're not going to talk about how we figure out better officiating or use replay or review or any of this other stuff. We're going to add more subjectivity to the zebras, because that makes sense to me.
Can't hit high, can't hit low. Or no, sorry, can't hit in the middle.
When are we going to get a
At
flag?
some point, there's parts where you can't hit low too.
Yeah.
Like you can't hit the quarterback low.
Yeah.
So wait, how can you tackle a quarterback? You can't hit them high.
You can't land on them.
You can't hit them low. Now you can't hip drop them. So you can't tackle basically at their waist.
You have to essentially, hold on, because you can't land on them, and you can't pull them too hard with your dead weight, because that's a hip drop. You have to pick them up and then lay them on the ground, I think. Just go ahead and ban defense at this point. That's what you're trying to do. You're trying to have higher score. You're trying to protect your assets. Make it a Pascal or something at this point. Like, what are you supposed to do? What's the next thing to fall?
Yeah, I don't understand why they're doing it. I guess it's just to protect players that make a lot of money.
I mean,
I guess the game is better if you have more electric offensive players. I guess that's what they're thinking.
Every single rule change is to help offense. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Because people watch a low scoring game and it's boring to them. And so I think that is a huge player. It's one, I want to protect the people so that my expensive players don't get hurt. And then two, I want more breakaway touchdowns.
I love offense, but you're just making it, I don't know.
I mean, like, seriously though, even if because I get your point is exactly right. Like, if you're behind, if you're chasing, any of those things. But now we're in the open field, you're coming straight at me and you're 60 pounds heavier than me. How do I really tackle you?
I mean, that's a good question, even if we were the same size, me and you. But no.
Sure.
Okay. We might have to find out one day.
Ooh, that'd be a fun vlog.
Yeah, it would be. Probably tear my other ACL. Yeah, there's not much you can do except get bulldozed at that point.
And then hope
smaller guys trying to tackle bigger guys with just rules surrounding what they can do. Not only is it a penalty, I haven't read this, but I'm sure it comes with a fine, because every penalty these days comes with a fine. So that's more money in their pocket, more penalties, more money. It's crazy. And the stuff that the NFLPA is calling for, they're not doing.
No, because they don't actually care about those things. And that's why I'm like, again, it's a stupid decision for the game. I think it makes it worse. I think people are already upset about the officiating, and now you just put in so much more gray area in the game. Like, that's stupid enough. But then you're like, well, we're just really about player safety. It's like, stop. Like, just call it what it is at this point. Yeah. That's what drives me nuts.
And we like to give refs a hard time because it does matter, like when they make bad calls, but they've got some tough calls they have to make. This is tough too. Like, now they're like, imagine, I don't know, it's gonna get crazy.
Seriously, the gray area for for any kind of officiating call goes both ways, because now there isn't a face mask. It's very clear cut. Did you grab a face mask? Did you grab and turn it, or did it not turn? Like, that makes sense.
Right.
And now you're trying to do this other tackle. They're not going to win. And even if it's a 80% right call from it, everyone's going to be mad at them now. So they're another loser in this process too. Like,
oh yeah, big loser in this process, and it's not their fault even.
no, and they're going to I can guarantee you that there will be a few games decided because of a hip drop tackle call this year. It might be right, it might be wrong, and then they're going to be in the firing line for that too. Like, who wins in this? I don't get it.
I don't know if anybody does.
I've even seen offensive
players, maybe.
I've even seen a lot of them come out in opposition of them, of kind of like, look, we're all for it, but like, this doesn't really make sense.
Yeah, no, I mean, if I was an offensive player, I would think it's stupid, but I would run with it. Like, I would put myself in positions where the defense doesn't have a chance to make a legal tackle. If you can, like, I feel like there's ways you could do that.
I mean, seriously, you just try to like catch them at an angle now, I feel like.
Yeah.
And they'll like wrap you up. And if at all you get enough momentum that it swings them behind you, you've gotten at least 15 yards.
Right. You could easily try to figure out how to sell it.
Oh, yeah.
Like you're saying, like swinging behind you, like go down weird. It's 15 yards.
All right. Should we do I could talk about this one more, but should we do the kickoff rule now?
Yeah, we should talk about hip drop tackle on a kickoff. The kickoff rule is ridiculous. So it's going to be the XFL.
Yeah.
It's essentially negating any chance at a surprise onside kick.
Yeah. Because you have to declare.
You have to declare. That's so dumb. Yeah, why don't we just dive into each little part of it here, I guess.
So you kick off from the 35, and the rest of your team is going to be on the opposing team's 40-yard line. So you kick off 25 yards behind your team, right?
Yeah. Yep. 25 yards behind. And I read that if it's like windy outside, you can't have a player hold the ball for you. You have to use a like an artificial ball hold.
Oh, like those triangle ones that
like
people,
the little ones you do for to practice field goals. You have to use that because another player is not allowed that far back.
Okay.
Just stupid.
The receiving team will have 9 players because you can still have 2 returners in the setup zone between the 30 and the 35-yard line. So now you've got 10 people on the kickoff team, 9 people on the return team that are either 5 to 10 yards apart.
Yep. So it's just less high impact, I guess, maybe.
And then I guess you're essentially playing Red Rover, and if you break through the line, it's a touchdown. I mean, that's kind of what it is.
Right.
Or unless your kicker, maybe kickers like Allen start becoming valuable. If you got a kicker that could be a safety.
Ooh, that would be
that
cool.
Could be a plus side.
Yeah, you're basically the safety, but dude, if the returner breaks through that line, it's just them and the kicker, and that's it.
Maybe better than Red Rover. It's more like dodgeball because the way that it works now is the returner can return whenever it lands. No player except for the kicker and the returner can move until the ball is caught by the returner or received. And then, well, we'll get into touchbacks later. But so you have now the 5 to 10 yards apart. You can't move until the ball is caught. And so at that point, it's kind of like dodgeball where it's like, okay, do I run to the line or do I run back? You know what I mean? And so
right.
I guess you're going to have half of the people run forward, half of them, but then that opens up the other side. Like, I don't know. It'd be really weird to see how coverage works.
I've watched a little bit of
XFL.
Is it Arena Ball or is it XFL?
I couldn't remember when you're saying that. I don't know which one it was.
I've seen this happen before and it looks super weird. Yeah, I think you almost have to drop people in coverage. So instead of sending everybody straight ahead, maybe have like, you basically probably want it to look just like a kickoff does right now.
Yeah.
Reverse though. Right? So like the kicking team's all on the same line, but you want, like, you know how the blockers are on the kick return? That's kind of almost how you probably want your defense set up in a way.
And you can't let the return man beat you because no hip drop. Tackle.
Hip drop on it. So yeah, you got a very small window for error in this.
That's okay. So then touchbacks, there's 2 different types of touchbacks. It goes back to the 20-yard line if the ball touches the ground or a player in the landing zone. So I don't understand that part of it, but then rolls beyond the goal line and down in the end zone. So like a normal touchback or the 30-yard line if the ball goes out of bounds behind the receiving team's goal line, if it strikes the goalpost or lands beyond the goal line and down in the end zone. So you can't just kick it out the back because that's 30-yard line. You have to essentially get it to land in the landing zone and not be returned to be a 20-yard touchback.
I don't hate that part. I do think that part's kind of cool because it makes you return more.
Mm-hmm.
But like the NFL recently just changed the rules so that you would return less, which kind of confuses me.
Yeah, I guess that one was safety with just full speed collisions on a kickoff. I guess I don't really know because again, if they say it's safety, does it mean it's safety at all? Probably not.
Right. It's still going to be full speed collision for the returner.
But I guess it's only one person going full speed again. So now we're just going to have the injuries from the person standing still. Getting sprinted into.
I don't know, man. Another thing I don't understand. There were injuries on kickoff, but I feel like there's also going to be injuries on this.
Of all the things that they could have gotten and tried to figure out or fix, these are the two that they're like, you know what? We're going to fix football by making our kickoff better and eliminating tackling in the open field.
Let's change the entire dynamic about how we start a game. Let's change the whole thing.
Wow. People are very upset about NFL officiating. People are convinced that the NFL is rigged because of gambling and because of all these other things. Why don't we figure out if there's a way to help both the officials and the fairness of a game and incorporate other stuff? That could make sense. No, let's add more gray area and ambiguity to the officials.
Right. Questionable. To say the least. I do like the fact with the rule where you try to get it to not go into the end zone.
That is fun.
For more returns. I like that part. I guess we'll just have to see it play out. It just sounds dumb.
I think it
sounds dumb too.
The onsides is the biggest piece of that. No surprise ones. They don't work that much really anyway, but still, it's a fun part of the game.
And they don't happen all that often. I guess the biggest onside I can think of, and it happened in college, was Alabama did a fake one in the national championship game against, I can't remember if it was Clemson or who it was, but it worked to start the second half, and that totally changed the dynamic of the game. Again, it doesn't happen very often, but it does take away that kind of surprise, trickery.
And you can't go into onside and kick it deep or do anything like that either. Not that that's
it takes away a good bit.
Onside or not. It's ridiculous. Mm-hmm. Way to go, Roger Goodell, keeping up your streak of being insufferable.
Definitely need some safety kickers though.
You want to try out?
We can start kicking again.
Getting swole.
I don't know that'd be the best safety either, but
you'd probably be better than most of the NFL kickers.
Maybe. Let's start training for it.
All right, March Madness, happier. I'm getting too fired up. All right. Yeah. First note, Kentucky.
Man.
Fire Cal was trending on Twitter, and his seat is unquestionably hot. But here's what's interesting about it. Kentucky hasn't advanced past the first weekend since 2019, and that's now 2 losses in 3 years to massive underdogs in the first round. Also lost in 2015 to St. Peter's. That's not ideal.
Nope.
So it's trending. His buyout would be the most expensive one in basketball history at $33.4 million. Interesting. What do you think about that?
I don't know that the problem is Calipari. I think just the culture they've created at Kentucky with the one and done right now is a terrible time for that. Yeah. Mainly, I would say because of the portal, NIL, and the COVID year. I think we're seeing a lot of older, more experienced players who've been there for years, Jack Golke, people like that are really taking advantage of that extra year that's been given to them.
Yep.
And Kentucky's playing a lot of young guys, right? So a lot of freshmen, sophomores, things like that. And when you're going against somebody that's been in college for 6 years in the tournament, I think that experience really matters. So I think that has a lot to do with the past 5 years deal that they've struggled. Also, they make the tournament like every year, which is good. I guess coming from a school like South Carolina who makes it not often, I just think that's really important. But at a school like Kentucky, I know they have a higher standard. So that it's not a great look that they've been losing to lower seeds every year. I'll say that. But I do think a lot of it has to do with the environment of college basketball.
College sports in general, too.
College sports at the moment. I think a lot of it has to do with that.
Yeah, I like that. But you mentioned Jack Golke. So for anyone who didn't know, he spent 4 years, D2, came to Oakland this year for a 5th year as a grad student, and he put up 10 threes against Kentucky, just torching them with the biggest spotlight on him of his entire career. I saw this quote today. I hadn't seen it before, and I love it. He said, I know they have draft picks, and I know I'm not going in the NBA, but on any given night, I can compete with those type of guys. He's like...
Right. I think that quote is super wrong, though.
You don't think?
Because I think he probably will get a shot to go to the next level. Like somebody, if he keeps shooting like that, somebody's going to give him a chance to be a role player, to come in and make big time clutch threes.
And if not, I think we were talking about it. Imagine this guy in any just men's pickup league. He walks up and he already looks the part. There, everyone's like, "Oh, what's up?" And all of a sudden, draining it.
Nasty, dude. He was balling against Kentucky.
He was.
It was unbelievable. Just dropping from anywhere.
Anywhere.
You're going to have a hard time beating anybody who hits 10 threes on you. And most of them were contested threes.
Yeah. That just made me think of, wasn't planning on talking about Baylor Clemson game, but you also have a hard time winning if you can't hit free throws. Like that's...
Yeah, come on, Baylor. You had a great shot. Clemson almost got screwed on a bad foul call, too, and then Baylor missed both free throws that could have tied the game. That was rough.
It was so tough to watch the number of points that left on the board or in the game.
You also have a hard time winning a game when one of your ex-players who averaged 11 to 12 points a game for you drops 40 on your head.
That man couldn't miss either. It felt like.
I should have looked up his high score, like his highest scoring game in Columbia. I bet it wasn't over 30.
I don't know what it was.
It was probably like
24,
something like that.
Ooh, we on the same page there.
We'll have to look that up.
Gotta look that up.
But that was rough, man.
Rough. Again, we already mentioned it, but the SEC, they went 3-5 in the first round despite being the higher seed in all 5 losses. Couple fun facts for you about the tournament right now. Virginia, Baylor, and Kansas have each won titles in the last 5 tournaments, and they all failed to make it out of the first weekend in any of the 4 years they didn't win it all.
Wow. Gonzaga has a streak of 9 straight Sweet 16s.
Yeah.
Dude,
I don't know if that one's active or if it finished, but 9 straight Sweet 16s is nuts.
No, it's gotta be active.
Gotta be.
Because they're in it right now.
Yeah.
They were in it in 2017 when South Carolina was in the Final Four.
Yeah, it went 9 years ago. Makes sense.
Yep.
And
they still haven't won one.
I know. What would you rather have? I would rather win one, I think.
Yeah, definitely rather win one.
There was a lot of chaos, I felt like, the first couple rounds. But the top 8 are still surviving. The top 8 overall seeds made it to the Sweet 16 for the 5th time since the tournament expanded to 64 teams. So all 8 of them made it to the Sweet 16.
Yeah, you never see that.
Yeah, because it was 1989, shout out Taylor Swift, 1995, 2009, and 2019.
I'd kind of like to see all ones in the Final Four. It's probably a not popular opinion.
Honestly, don't hate that, though. Just kind of
But you never see that.
Yeah, in a way that's like rooting for the underdog, right? Because that doesn't happen either. So, Again, I don't really care about it. I'm such a grumpy loser. And when South Carolina lost, I'm like, tournament's stupid. March Madness is stupid.
I hate this format.
I don't want to watch. Basketball is stupid. It's crazy. So anyway.
I do think the format of putting conference champions at number 11 is wild because
that
also, they put NC State at an 11. And what was the other? New Mexico was an 11. They won their conference championship.
Yeah, and they were the only 11 seed that lost.
I can't remember who the other 11 was, but either way, you're basically punishing the 6 seed by making them play a super hot team that just ran through their conference tournament.
Mm-hmm.
So that's tough. I'm not making excuses for South Carolina because they didn't play a good game, but just in general, that's a tough game that you're making a 6 seed play against a hot team.
Yeah. I mean, again, 3 of the 4 11 seeds won. So what is that saying? Yeah. I did think, though, South Carolina came out so flat, but I thought when they drained that 3/4 court shot right before half as a buzzer beater, I'm like, ooh, now they're only down by 5 going into half. They're going to come out hot. It's a game. It's on. And then no, they came out without a heartbeat, without a pulse.
Flatter than they started the game with. It was crazy, man. That's tough look next year. Baseball, though.
Ooh.
Baseball might be South Carolina's year because where basketball got flat at the wrong time, baseball might be getting hot at the right time. Started out a little rough. This weekend, swept number 3 Vandy. So,
which last year we got too hot too early in the season and then got flat by postseason. So maybe
we're hoping we're just holding it. Hold it.
Maybe.
Got some big hitters on that team. They're getting hot. Watch out. They put up a lot of runs this weekend.
Hopefully we at least have women's basketball right now. Hopefully we have baseball too.
Yeah, we really need a championship in women's basketball this year. I used to absolutely despise women's basketball. I used to hate that we were good at it because we weren't good at anything else, and everybody was like, "You're a women's basketball school." But you know what? I'm taking it. Women's basketball this year has been hype.
Yeah.
I watched a couple games recently, and they go at it, man. The talent level in women's basketball has shot through the roof over the past couple of years.
It's true. It's also crazy that South Carolina has an entire new starting 5 this year and hasn't lost a game. Crazy.
Don Staley, GOAT.
All right, should we do our draft now?
Let's do the draft.
We're drafting big boys, getting an O-line for our dream team. I got the first pick on this draft. And, we're going to do just 2 tackles and 2 guards. My thought is we're going to find a selfless guard or tackle that'll play the right side because if you look at all the greats, they're all on the left side because blind side makes sense. And so we're just doing generic 2 tackles, 2 guards, and then 1 center. First pick, I'm going to go with one of my tackles. Give me Anthony Munoz. This guy, 11 Pro Bowls. Make sure that's right. 11 Pro Bowls and 9 first-team All-Pros. Just dominant for the Bengals.
Oh, yeah. Great pick. I think he's the consensus best lineman of all time from everything I've seen, everything I've heard. Ask my dad who's the best lineman of all time. No hesitation.
That's Anthony Munoz.
Yeah. I'm going straight talent, just straight monstrosity of a man. I'm picking for a guard. I'm going Larry Allen.
Yeah.
Dude had a 700-pound bench press. So put that on my offensive line.
Yeah.
And also just an all-time great. He also had a squat of 900 pounds.
Whew.
So 700, 900.
Did you see that high schooler that was squatting 9 something? Or no, 845? Oh, dude.
Big boy?
Big boy.
Put him on my line. Love it.
High schooler squatting 845.
That's wild. I got to see that. All right, this may be a reach. I don't think so, though. I'm going Dream Team. I'm not taking all-time stats into play here. I did that on a couple of the drafts. Not this one. I want just straight beasts on the line. I'm going tackle Trent Williams. Dude is a absolute stud. Just a beast of a man. I think he's keeping up with any of those old-timers.
You also got to love it because I got him on my current team. So you can have him on the Dream Team.
Yep. And I feel like you might have scooped him if I didn't scoop him.
So then my second pick, you got a behemoth of a man on your team. So I'm going to get another tackle. It's originally left tackle, but he'll play right tackle. Give me Jonathan Ogden. Michael Strahan talked about how he would bull rush people, and he was like the one person you just couldn't move.
Big dude.
Big
He was a
dude.
beast. He was on my list too.
And then I'm going to go a guard next. I'm going to take Bruce Matthews.
All right, for my next pick, I got to stick with the Dolphins and go with Larry Little. Nothing little about him. Put him at guard. Dude's a beast. Next pick, I got to go with the guy who Vince Lombardi called the greatest player he ever coached. Tackle Forrest Gregg.
Ooh.
Greatest player Vince Lombardi ever coached.
He was actually a right tackle too. So
yeah,
you
right
actually
tackle.
have
So I
the
have a
most
left-hander.
rounded one.
We'll take it.
Almost went Forrest Gregg when we were doing that before we went to just any kind of tackle.
Yep.
So then I've got a guard and a center left. Part of me wants to go Jim Parker at guard because, man, play tackle guard. I could have him as utility on my offensive line, but I'm not. I'm going to go with John Hanna as my other guard, and then at center, a couple good options here, but I'm going to go with Mike Webster.
Mr. Webster.
Shooting webs.
Dictionary man. I had John Hanna as my other guard too, as a thought. Lastly, I have to get a center. Got to have somebody strong, experienced in the middle of the line there. I really thought about going Jason Kelsey, but I think I would get too much flack for that. I'm going Peyton Manning center, Jeff Saturday. Probably my favorite center dating back, the most notable one for me growing up. He was always who I thought of as the best center in the league. Actually played center and flag football, so I really liked Jeff Saturday growing up. So give me Jeff.
I lost some weight. I love that.
Yeah, dude. Chunky kid, for sure.
Oh, man. That was fun, though. The Jeff Saturday, I'd thought about doing him, and then I was like, I don't know if it was just the nostalgia of him and Peyton Manning in my mind.
It's definitely the nostalgia for me why I picked him. But he was a beast.
It's a great pick. I've seen lists with him on it, so I love that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know like if he's on the most talented centers of all time list, but like just, I don't know. Seemed like a beast to me.
I like that. Well, you got a couple Larrys on your team. You got an Allen, so you love repeating first names.
Yep.
Because you got a couple Cosmos, remember? You always got to get the Allens. So, all in all,
2 Larrys, 2 Allens.
I think we got good lines. We got what we need for our teams to be successful. So, excited to move to defense next. I think that's going to be really fun.
I'm excited to see what people say about our line because I'm not going to guarantee you. I bet nobody has a clue about some of these people. So, I'm interested to see who they just like rag on us about.
Especially on TikTok, because it's going to be like, what, you don't have Creed Humphrey as a center for it?
Right. Of best all time.
Yeah.
For any of these, I feel like you could maybe argue any of the guys now versus older guys just because of like the way the game has evolved and how everybody's like, I feel like a lot bigger in most regards, a lot more like,
that was,
yeah, it's come a long way in that way, but
what if you took them and then you
compare.
trained them? Yeah, it's like the Babe Ruth argument for baseball or any of those. I don't know, but I feel like, I don't know. You got to use your imagination a little bit. Think about how they would translate to a different era.
Yeah, that's why I try to mix in a little bit from every era here to see, what do you think about, we saw a lot of comments about Tyreek Hill being on the all-time receivers list. What do you think about that?
I think he makes a case for the top 15 receivers maybe. It would be hard. Steve Smith, he could have potentially gone over. But also, if I'm thinking strictly of talent, like you and I had talked about Sterling Sharp for him. We didn't do Torrey Holt. There's a number of other receivers I still think are ahead. Like, people were complaining that Larry Fitz went above Tyreek Hill. Like, that's crazy to me.
Yeah, that's nuts. That doesn't make any sense.
So
I think that maybe outside of the top, he might have cracked the top like 8, potentially, if you're going straight off talent. I mean, he's ultra fast. He's really talented, but I don't know. I'm trusting the other guy's hands a little better.
It also would be fun to have him to be able to mix in with the rest of the receivers. You got like the big bodies that people are having to think about, and then you've got Tyreek Hill that if they blink, he's 50 yards downfield, and then you get a quarterback with a cannon. Like, that would be fun. I get that. But people are acting like we're brain dead for not picking him number 1 overall. It's like, I'm sorry that this is the only one of the receivers that you ever watched play football, but some of these other guys were dogs.
We're dogs, and people don't remember.
Dogs, man. Well,
Or they never knew.
Well, this was a fun episode. Like, subscribe, share, and stay tuned because we're going to have some fun stuff coming up in May, June, July, the summer months.
Let's go. It'll be a little travel pod.
Travel pod.
Watch out. We'll see you over there.
Peace.